I figured that we could just kind of have a little AMA and see kind of who shows up and answer any questions that you guys might have around anything M365 related.
So quick follow-up on Rose's question. I notice on my screen over on the right panel where it says transcript and it's showing me the transcript. It also has a button that says switch to live captions. So first question is, if I click that, will that switch to live captions for only me or for everybody?
If you switch to live captions, it should only turn it on for you.
Okay. And does that affect the transcript at all, or does the transcript just happen in the background?
Nope, the transcription is recorded in the background, and the live captions are an accessibility feature for each user individually.
Okay.
You do have to have live captions enabled and you're sharing your screen. So if you do it, people will be able to see what it looks like.
Yep.
And live captions have to be enabled for you to use the language translation services as well. So once you turn on live captions, you also have the option when you turn on live captions to decide what language you see it in. So if, for example, English is not your native language, but you're listening to an English-based broadcast or an English-based Teams meeting, and you wanted to turn on translation, the live captions, you could actually view the live captions in your own native language.
Okay.
And that's
And
under
then
the,
if I
so if you
just,
click on those settings, if you sit on the, I think it's on that little settings right there, language settings, you can actually change to see it in a different language if you'd like. So see where it says translate to, you could translate that to whatever language would be more comfortable for you. And then as we speak in English, it will translate those live captions into the language of your choice. So see how it switched? You can actually see down there where it switched from English to Spanish.
that is
And
pretty
now
cool.
I think it's a really cool feature, and a lot of people don't realize it's there. And I really advise this, especially if you work with others who English is not their primary language, because then it makes your meetings a lot more comfortable, because then they know that whatever you're saying, they understand fully.
So my problem, the reason why I asked the question is recently Teams changed. So I've been using that.
What?
Right. I've been using that live caption for, 5 years since we switched in the pandemic. And if my boss said something or anyone, but I would use it like if my boss explained something to me, I asked a question and then he gave me like 3 paragraphs, I could copy and paste it without the meeting being recorded. Meaning I'm talking only about meetings that were not being recorded.
Right.
And then, I ask a question, he gives me a long, lengthy answer. I could grab it and copy and paste it, and now you cannot do that.
Yes, that is correct. And it's because the way the features work, they're changing them in the way that the licensing setup is and how they're rolling out those features. There's some changes behind the scenes in why that's happening, and that I would say it's a Microsoft decision. But I would say if that's a concern for you, you can provide feedback through the Teams feedback channel. But I'm pretty sure that it's a licensing choice, so you might not have a whole lot of control about it. Do you have Teams Premium?
No.
So that might be part of it too, is I think they're changing some of that to be included in the Teams Premium licensing.
For what it's worth, after I had clicked stop recording, the transcript was still showing up on the right and still populating up until we got the recording restarted.
Yes, the transcript will continue.
Okay, but it won't start unless you click record.
Either record or start transcription. So the transcription is actually a separate feature from the recording, but the transcription will continue and persist even if the recording stops.
Okay, so
Unless you
Rose,
click stop unless you do stop transcription.
Right. So Rose, maybe that's another thing. Maybe that you have to click even without clicking the start recording. Maybe you can try the start transcription right here.
Yeah, you should be able to do the start transcription without recording it. And that's
Okay.
really what was happening behind the scenes, Rose. You just didn't know that that was happening. Now you have control over it in a way that you didn't.
Okay. Thanks.
Those are good questions. What else you guys got? I did not put a session together for a backfill, so he was confirmed.
All
So
right, somebody ask a question. Otherwise, I'm going to start asking weird random questions.
I was gonna say I start thinking about like when I do training, if nobody asks questions, I start just giving tips and tricks.
You know? So brief update for or quick update for the people who have joined since the last time we said it. Our speaker is having airline issues and is running late. So they said they should be here at some point. So we're hoping that they will be here by the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, he said he was running a little bit late and he would be here as soon as he could. And so I said, well, we'll get on, we'll say hi, we'll just answer some questions while we wait. So we're having kind of a good old-fashioned user group where we just kind of chat and if you've got general AMA questions, it's a great time to do it. We got lots of great people on this call that can answer questions. Everybody's like, man, I was looking forward to the session. I was trying to think what are some exciting things? Let's see. What are some exciting things that we need to know about? User alerts are going away. Did we say that already?
Yes, we know that.
SharePoint
Oh, well, I know
alerts
that.
are being deprecated.
Yep. That's creating some fun because their replacement that Microsoft gave us is the rules and the quick steps. But for each list or library, you have a limit of 15 rules and 15 quick steps. And when I say you have a limit of 15, I mean for the entire list or library, not per person. So you can only have 15 rules and 15 quick steps. So if you have a library with 200 documents that get updated frequently, and you have alerts on each individual document, that's not going to work after next year. As of, I think, last month, they were supposed to have taken away the create alert button. And by next summer, they will just basically kill off all your alerts that you have set up. So the alternative is a lot less exciting, which is a Power Automate workflow. And so I actually set that up for a user. They had a list or a library of reports that get updated daily, sometimes multiple times a day, but they all go to different people. So what I ended up doing, there were a couple of folders in there that went to the same person, so I could use those as a rule. But then all of the ones that were individual or that were maybe even dynamic, I created another list inside of that SharePoint site, had them write that, basically put in all of the different files that get updated, another column, a multi-people select column for them to pick who gets the emails. And then I have a workflow that basically goes through and says, if an item changes over in the library, then go look at the the list and see who it's supposed to go to. So I ended up replacing it with one list and one workflow, but it's still overly complex, and alerts have been a staple for what, 20 years, 25 years.
25 years, yeah.
So it's going to be fun as your people who use the alerts start creating more and they start screaming at you that they don't know what to do next. There's your answer. It's not exciting. It's not ideal, but it is the answer.
Yeah, I know. I just figure I'd throw that one out there.
Yeah. Sharon, do you know, does Christian have an actual like input form for the AMAs, or just he finds the questions in various places and puts them in the list?
We all add them in.
Okay.
He sources them, in fact, and then we source them and add them as well. So I don't think he has a current sign up plan, but I don't know. He'd probably like something like that. We
Yeah, I
just
was thinking
we
we
just
should
kind of source
make
them from a
something.
few specific people or specific places.
Right. So the other fun one, something I learned recently, Microsoft Forms, speaking of having an entry form. So how many of us use Microsoft Forms? And we all put our hands up. Great. So, fun fact, if you as a user, so let's say I as Jonathan at the job create a Microsoft form that does whatever, it inputs data and does whatever. Whether that's an internal use only form or a public facing form to get anonymous users from outside the company to fill in the form. If I then leave the company and my user account gets deactivated, 30 days later, any form that I created disappears, like gets deleted, done, gone, not recoverable. And there is no Microsoft Forms Admin Center where you can go find this. So if Jonathan leaves the company, then somebody will need to log in as Jonathan and find out if Jonathan had any forms that were being used and that need to be continued to be used. The In Power Apps, Power Automate, things like that, you add co-owners, and those are truly co-owners. But in Forms, you are only adding collaborators. So while it looks like you've added more owners, they are not in fact owners, they're just collaborators. So the solution is to to assign that form to a group as the owner. There is a PowerShell script somewhere on the interweb that will tell you how to do that. I have not done that yet. I found out after the form died, and there was a SharePoint page with a big 404 on it. And then I had to create a form from scratch. But um, Sharon, you may be able to tell us how to do that from the beginning. Basically Microsoft's answer is there should be a group that owns the form. I did not research deep enough to know if that means a distribution group, a security group, or like a Teams team group. But yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I was just looking. It looks like you can assign an M365 group.
Okay, so an M365 group, meaning like if you create a team, for example, that is called HR team, then it creates a group in the background that is HR team at company.com or whatever. Right? So we're talking that type of a team or a group.
Say that again. I'm looking up to grab the PowerShell. The like a
So
team. Yeah, like a group
like
that
if,
goes with a team or
yeah, or a
and
team site, a SharePoint
yes.
team site,
Yes.
one of those groups. Okay.
Yep.
So if I wanted to, so then if I was going to create the form from the beginning and I wanted to do it through that group, can I do that in Teams? Can I is there a button in Teams to create a new form? Because you can't log in as that group. So how would I create it from the beginning as the group? Or do I have to use the PowerShell to reassign it?
That's a really good question, and I don't know the answer to that. I'm thinking about, I mean, because this looks like, I'm looking at the PowerShell, and it looks like you're reassigning the group owner. But if the group owner defaults to the person who made it, and you can't log in as a group, then logistically, I would say you have to make it as a person, and then you have to run the PowerShell to assign it the
And then
group as a group owner.
and somewhere you need to document that so you don't delete that team and group at some point.
It says Microsoft Forms ownership is tied to the ownership of the underlying group. Adding the group as an owner effectively grants any members ownership of the associated form.
Right. Which makes sense. So if you reassign it to the HR team group, then anyone in that group can then go in and see it in the My Forms, because essentially that's how you're getting multiple owners, right?
Yeah, you have to know what your group ID and your group owner, or you have to know what your group idea is for who you want your owning group to be.
Ooh, what's this
Oh, it's
Victoria posted?
is there a new link?
New
That's
form
So yeah,
survey.
there's a new link. If you're in the team and you
that's
go
an
into the
Excel
files,
icon.
it is.
That's
That's
funny.
how you create it, because that you have to create the spreadsheet that the form is going to export the data to. So if you choose to put the spreadsheet in the location instead of it being created in the Forms app, if you create it in the team, it stays there and the group owns it. Sorry, I've
Nice.
had to deal with this myself already.
No, that's great.
Good. No, yeah.
I remember seeing that new menu had changed and it had link and templates and Clipchamp, but I didn't pay attention to the forms.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask a slightly dumber question.
That's really cool.
What's above is this the SharePoint site that you're in?
So
So
no, if
I navigated to the team, I went to the general channel, and then I
Right.
clicked on the files tab. And
Oh,
then
the
from
files
files,
tab.
I backed up one level to documents. So it wasn't necessarily in the general tab, but you can put it wherever you want. You can create the open in
Let's see.
SharePoint where it'll
Okay.
do the web-based version, and you can still use that new command, and that form survey will come up there too.
That's great.
yeah, that's super cool.
Good.
Well, because
Thank you.
otherwise you don't even know where the spreadsheet goes. It's like, where did it go? It's magical.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's basically saving the spreadsheet into the files library there.
Correct.
Okay.
You choose. So my best practice for my people is to tell them to create a forms folder and then create all of their forms in that folder. And that way the team owns it. They're all organized. They know where they are. Everyone can get to them.
That makes
That makes
sense.
sense.
All right. Well, guess what I'm going to add to the next AMA call? Anonymous wants to know how to do this.
John with an H, then nobody will know it's you.
Right. Yeah, obviously.
Just completely incognito.
That's like if I take my glasses off.
Right.
Ah.
Yeah. Nobody will ever know.
Well, that's awesome. See, and that is why we have user groups. And every once in a while, we need to have conversation time.
Always get a nugget. don't see Rodrigo yet. It's all right. Worst case scenario is we all learn a few new little nuggets today. There are worse things in life, right?
Hey, this
Right.
forms thing, this is a life changer for operation. That was huge to find out.
What other questions do you guys have? This is great. Yeah, well, thank you, Victoria. That's
Yeah.
like awesome.
Yes, thank you.
We're gonna chase Victoria down to present on a topic.
Right. Well, you haven't gotten a confirmation for next month yet.
Who else has questions, comments, tips and tricks, updates?
Those are my big two, so I'm all out. I'm all out of knowledge.
I'll give my generic one. If anybody doesn't know this, I find all the time that people don't realize that this is a thing. But I'll type this in. If you want to learn more in general, about Microsoft tools. If you go to support.office.com/training, there's like this super hidden site that nobody even knows about. And if you go in here, you can click on at the top, basically, here, I'll just share. That way we can kind of look through it. Mostly because I like this site a lot, and I think it provides a lot of value, and a lot of people don't even know it exists. But if you want to kind of learn more about the office tools in general, it's one of the few places that you can do it. So you can see up here, like it has like the general office tools. So maybe I want to learn a little bit more about Outlook. I can just simply click on Outlook, and there's all these little kind of quick trainings. Um, Windows, Mac, iOS, Outlook for the web. And then there's some like tools and templates down here. So if you want like templates or all the shortcuts. So if you want your Outlook keyboard shortcut, you can click here. It shows you all of here we go, all of the little shortcuts. Like if you want to grab them, it's all right here. So got all this information in here, and it's all grouped by application, which is kind of nice. And then if you kind of look through each of these sections, there's some really cool stuff. So like if I go into the learn the basics, again, same thing, just like super duper basic information, subscription information. Like there's just like lots of little cool tips and tricks and quick starts down here. This one is really good, this cheat sheets. So you know how we used to have to pay for all the expensive infographics? Well, these are all free now. So if you want to like download these little office cheat sheets, here's all the downloadable guides for Excel and Teams. Here's the Mac guides right here. So you can just click on these PDFs and download these infographics for free, which I think is kind of cool. This is all the Copilot stuff. So there's Copilot video tutorials if you're learning, there's prompting basics, information around how to summarize, communicate, catch up on things. And they're adding more and more like all the time. So always like loading more stuff in here. This is all the extra templates. So if you want to, you know, have tutorials and walkthroughs, modeling, even more templates than what exist. We used to have these in the template section, but like if I want to go find Excel templates, I can go to this browse the collection, and it has a direct link to all these free templates that I don't think a lot of people even realize that these exist, but they're 100% free. So if I want to build an invoice template, or if you just keep going and go, I'm like, you can literally go in here And this just goes on and 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 on forever and ever and ever. So I can go in here and I can just search through these, or you can go up here and you can search for something. So let's say I want to look for budget, it'll kind of give me all the budget templates. So it's just kind of a handy thing to get to, like people are like, where'd those go? Well, they're kind of hidden and tucked into this templates thing right here. There's some extra resources. So for example, in this case, you're a small business, you want small business help. You can click on this link and it will give you a place to like do things, show you how to do like specific scenarios. So maybe I want to create a hub or I want to share files. It's just kind of repurposing some of this training. But notice how like it gives you specific things that are kind of helpful for a small business. And then if I keep scrolling down, there's even more, like more training, more workplace training, more training specifically here. So like if I want to switch from G Suite, here's some information here for a guide. And so I can just go here and it'll literally walk me through like how to understand some of that. If I want to go over here and I want to learn more about Viva Learning, it's this. And then there's all the general information. And they keep changing this. So like every time I go out here, you know, they change some of these links. And they add more and more stuff to some of these things. So I just kind of pop out here every once in a while, but I just like that there's just all this information out here. So you can go find more training. So anyways, that's my little tip trick. Yeah, Victoria, SharePoint groups. Let's talk SharePoint groups.
So I have a question. We do a lot of custom SharePoint sites with custom SharePoint groups. So you know how you get the owners, the members, and the visitors out of the box. So I will create a new one called maybe admins or faculty or student workers or whatever, and give it access to the sites. I'm struggling because I am the sole SharePoint admin at this point, and I've been doing it for a while. I know everything that's there, and I'm trying to train 3 people who are attempting to backfill me as I prepare for retirement. So do you know of any ways to determine what non M365 groups, so traditional SharePoint groups, somebody is a member of without having to check each site and each group? Because this is what we're running into. I have 100 sites that use custom SharePoint groups. I've created most of them, so I know where people are for the most part. But as I'm training these other people, it's literally, okay, so this person is in the business office. Where do you think they might be? Now let's go look. It's really that tedious.
Yeah, I mean, my first answer would be something like ShareGate or
Yeah.
Orchestry has a new reporting tool. And I want to say there's either like a free or a super cheap version of it where you can do like an access reporting that goes across the entire tenant and you can see all the groups and where everybody lives in them. So like a third party reporting tool would really be my first go-to. But if you there are PowerShell scripts that you can run that will essentially go in and identify which groups exist, but they're not real clean, which is why the third-party tools for reporting are really nice. But you're asking, yeah, what do I have and who lives in what? And that's an access
Right.
reporting question is really what you're asking. And I would push you to an Orchestry, a ShareGate, or I would research for free, research the PowerShell scripts to pull that info to get the information, and then you'd have to feed it into like a Power BI report.
Okay.
I know.
The information is clearly available in admin. If you find a person, an active user, and you click on them under account, it says it has a groups section. which is
Yeah.
super helpful. It lists 3 and then says 55 more. But you can't click on it to expand.
Well, if you're a global admin, you can, because I can expand
Okay.
that, but it will only list M365 groups. It does not
Correct.
list any SharePoint groups.
It does not.
I got you.
No,
That's-
those are,
yeah.
those are M365 groups. And you're asking SharePoint groups. And
Right.
SharePoint groups are unique to each site collection.
Yep.
So you would essentially need to run a report across every site that every single site collection that you have, and
Correct.
which SharePoint groups exist in every site collection, and then what's the access of those groups.
Yeah, that's exactly what I need. And we had ShareGate years ago when we migrated
Yeah.
from on-prem to the cloud, and it was pretty pricey. So I just made some assumptions that there's no free options that would give me any of those reporting,
There,
you know.
there's a brand new, there is a brand new tool that Orchestry has, and I believe that
Never heard of that.
there's something. So first of all, you can always do demos also of
Okay.
ShareGate or
Well,
Orchestry.
yeah.
I'm just saying. But there is both Orchestry and ShareGate will do what you're asking. But I believe there's like a brand new feature, because I chatted with Orchestry about this like 2 years ago, and then they were making it. And then they just rolled something out recently. So here's the reporting link for Orchestry, and you can get it for free for 28 days. If you're interested in something with Orchestry, let me know, because I'm an Orchestry partner too.
Okay.
So I could even potentially get in there, and we could get you like maybe a longer term trial or something. And see if maybe there's like just a part, because one of my pieces of feedback to Orchestry was there are people like you who just want the reporting piece, but they don't need the rest of the tool. And I want to say that they were talking about breaking that off to where there was an affordable only reporting piece.
Okay.
So you might, if you want to follow up with me on that, I can even reach out to them and ask.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
Because I know exactly what you're asking. What I used to use, there used to be a tool called Control Point. And it was Exceller, and Metalogics bought it and destroyed it. And ShareGate has something similar, but Orchestry is supposedly basically creating something, or have created something similar. And I just haven't played with their new one, but it's supposed to be very similar to that Control Point tool that basically tells you across the entire thing, every site, every group, every access.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be, I would look there, and you can even do these. But yeah, if you want demos, let me know and I can hook you up.
Okay. Okay, that'd be great.
This one right here is what I'm looking for. Let's see if I can find you the link here. Maybe take a look at these. Oh, that's got a gnarly little link. Somebody got credit for that one. But this is really what so this right here, kind of, it does a pretty nice job of it. I've used both of them for different clients, and it works out okay.
Okay. Yeah, especially if they can break that up, because we don't really need all the other stuff, but this manual hunt and peck thing is just ridiculous to have to go in, and we have I create a site security list for every site that I create, but you still have to click on each one of the groups and look for the people. So it's just ugly.
I 100% understand, and I used to be responsible for all that at a couple of different places. And what I did was I actually created a spreadsheet, and listed out every single site. And I have a template that I use now, but I basically had a spreadsheet. I listed out every single site, every single group that we made. And then I didn't care who was in the groups, because essentially as long as I knew the sites in the groups, then I could just go look it up if I needed to. And then as I kind of rolled that governance tool out for some of my clients, some of them were a little bit more overzealous than I was, and they actually would, anytime they added or removed a person, they would update the spreadsheet because essentially that became a reporting tool.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
And that was suggested by one of the people that I'm training. She's like my supervisor. And I'm just like, yeah, I already do the site security list. I already do all the work. I'm trying
Yep.
to train you guys, and now you want that too? I
yep.
don't have time for this. So that's the hard part about that. It's just such a duplication of effort. And yeah.
This is when my answer becomes, nope, can't do it.
Well,
You can't do it, so buy a tool.
right. Well, and it'd be nice if they would sync the M365 groups. So going back to what Jonathan said, if you go into the groups through like Entra, it'll list. But once we remove an account, those all go away. They get removed from the team. They get removed from the M365 group connected area. But those classic SharePoint sites retain the name of that person. So I've got sites that are just messy and people, oh, so-and-so hasn't been here in 2 years. So part of it's my OCD that I just don't like ex-employees littering up sites.
Yep.
They're not getting in there because, their duo's been deactivated, their camp's been deleted. It's not an issue. It's just
Right.
messy.
No, I hear you. That's so that control point, what the control point tool did was so I ran offboarding for a couple of different places, and what would happen is I would get a list of everybody that was offboarded, and I would essentially go in and I would find that person and I would say, is there somebody replacing them? Like, have you already identified somebody to replace them? Because if so, I would take their role and their access and duplicate that to whoever was replacing them. And then I had a delete where I could go through, and then after it was caught, basically it would duplicate their access to their replacement and then remove them from everything. And it was like a godsend.
That would be nice.
Yes. I could either, nice. I could just delete them out of everywhere. And then it would give me a report. Basically, I could run a report where they lived. I could delete them out of everywhere, and then it would give me a report where it pulled them out of. I could duplicate them to their replacement person to make sure that those accesses were duplicated. Or I could just, run a report of everybody. And I really liked that tool.
Yeah. I just don't understand why Microsoft can't figure that out. It's their access. It's their,
They can, they just choose not to.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you'll find, and I say this all the time, is that Microsoft Microsoft can't do everything. And their goal, remember, they are a software production company. They were a software development company. They make software. That's it. They don't really design the training for the software. They don't design the governance for the software. They don't design the stuff around it. They make the software. And there's so many gaps around that. Then that's where those third parties come in, is to fill those gaps.
Right. Yeah, because we can't be the only people dealing with this.
It's been the same problem for 25 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, it was before that too. Like, you go back to Active Directory and, keeping track of Active Directory health. Right. And to be honest, like, nobody really did a good job of Active Directory health for a long time. And I did a lot of Active Directory architecture and cleanup and health assessments and stuff, and nobody really did a good job of that. And nobody realized how bad it was until things like SharePoint and Outlook came on top of AD. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, well, I might actually have to pay attention to this, because you think about, like, when we do organizational structures and managers and things like that, all of a sudden it's like, wait, we do care about Active Directory health. And there was no tools for that either.
Right.
So, I mean, this has been an ongoing problem, for as long as there's been permission groups and keeping, access control and users, and it's just never really been prioritized inside of the out-of-the-box feature set.
Uh-huh.
Admins are, we're like the lowest rung. They're like, whatever, you can figure it out. We don't care. Developers get all the fancy tools. Admins do not.
Yes. Wow. I'm still waiting for an admin title, so there's that.
Yeah. I used to teach the SharePoint certification program at JUCO. And it was always funny I had a dry spot in my throat. My voice stopped.
You alive?
Just all of a sudden it just stopped. I used to think it was funny because I would have people come into that class and I would be like, who became an admin because somebody said a SharePoint book on your desk? And like 90% of the people would be like, yep, that was me.
That's funny.
Yep. Most people don't become admins by choice. It's a necessity. You
Yep.
just kind of say, I know how to do this, and then I know how to do the next thing, and then I do know how to do the next thing, and the next thing you know, you're the admin.
The wormhole.
Mm-hmm. That's how I became an admin in a lot of places. They're like, Sharon can do that. And they would just give me more and more stuff. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm the admin now. Well, I feel like our speaker might have gotten hung up longer than he expected. But this has been a great conversation and I'm having a good time. If anybody has any other questions or comments or tips or tricks, feel free. Otherwise, it's great to have you guys here and lovely chat.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about the transcript and the live captions. And you suggested one thing I could do is give feedback. Can you tell me where I could give that feedback?
Yes.
Oh,
So,
Sharon knows where to click feedback.
yep.
I clicked on like 3 places and I'm like, I'm not sure.
I'm looking to see so I can tell you the right answer. So in Teams, if you go inside of the Teams application, up at the top next to the little alert bell by your name or by your business name, the little dot, dot, dot up there, there should be a feedback option. And there should be a report a problem, give a compliment, or suggest a feature.
Thank you.
And just pick whatever you think makes the most sense and type it up and send it. And so if you use that feedback mechanism, it goes directly to the product team. It'll go on their backlog. Please always provide feedback. They love it. Tell them Sharon sent you. What ends up happening is they call me.
Yeah, they call Sharon and say, okay, I don't understand this feedback. Can you help us fix it?
They do. No, literally, they'll call me and they'll email me and say, can we get on a call so you can show me what they're asking about? And then I'll hop on and they'll record the call. And so if you do provide feedback and you would like to participate, let me know and I'll invite you. But typically what they do is they follow up with me, they schedule a call, and then I walk them through what the question was, or answer their questions. They record the whole thing and then they take that. And then often that you'll see within usually about 6 or 8 months, you'll see your feedback kind of come back to light if it's something that they can do. Yeah. It's actually pretty cool. I think it's fun. A lot of my clients get to really be kind of on the cutting edge of making some really cool updates. Sure. Hang on a second. Yeah, by the way, user group. So if you guys want to share your information, feel free. It's really funny, like I've just been doing this group for so long that I forget about reminding people to put their contact information, but feel free to connect with each other. I think networking, especially in this industry, is really important. It's really funny. You think that everybody's in tech until you're in tech and you realize that everybody is not in tech. So it's always good to have people who kind of know what's going on.